Hello, my name is Kenny Basden, and today we're going to be discussing the association between sugar-sweetened beverage consumption and BMI. So a little background on sugar-sweetened beverages among New Yorkers. Approximately 61% of adult New Yorkers reported regularly consuming sugar-sweetened soft drinks, and 22% of adults and 25% of adolescents reported drinking at least one can per day of sugar-sweetened beverages. According to the Department of Health, 1 in 3 children in the state are now overweight or obese, and for each additional 12-ounce soft drink that they consume per day, their odds of becoming obese increase to 60%. And currently, 25% of adult New Yorkers are obese, and another 35% are overweight. This yields to an economic impact of approximately $7.6 billion spent annually on healthcare-related costs due to obesity. Obesity costs in each New York household can be up to $771 per year for both public and private healthcare programs. So based on this, we wanted to look at the association between BMI and sugar-sweetened beverage consumption among New York residents. In order to do that, we went ahead and looked at used a data set of the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System from 2016. The Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, or BRIFS, is a national survey that is focused on collecting information from adults who are over the age of 18, and it collects information on chronic conditions, how Americans use preventive health care services, and other health-related risk behaviors. We used the 2016 data set and limited to the New York population to assess the association of body mass index and sugar-sweetened beverage consumption using a simple and multiple linear regression. The outcome variable was BMI, or body mass index. The exposure of interest was sugar-sweetened beverage, and there were a variety of covariates that were taken into account. The regression models were completed before and after adjusting for these covariate variables. The CPR plot, residual plot, and the Q-Q plot were tested for any assumptions and did not reveal any violations. So for the BMI and the SSB variables, they were cleansed to remove the outliers. The BMI variable was continuous. The SSB variable was categorical and had 4 levels, not consuming any SSBs per week, consuming 0 to 1, 1 to 7, and more than 7 per week. And this variable included the sodas. New Yorkers reported consuming sodas and fruit drinks as well. The 6th variable was binary with 2 levels for male and female. The age variable was continuous, and it went up to 80. Anybody who reported being above 80 years old was recoded to 80. The Hispanic ethnicity variable was the binary, yes or no. The race variable was categorical with 3 levels, white, black or African American, and other. The educational variable was categorical and had 3 levels, high school graduate or less, some college, and college graduate. The income variable was categorical with 3 levels, at less than $25,000, $25,000 to $50,000 a year, and more than $50,000 a year. The physical activity variable for those who reported physical activity in the last 30 days is binary as either yes or no. And the variable history of CVD variable, or cardiovascular disease, was binary as yes or no. Those that had reported in the original data set yes to ever being told they had heart disease, a heart attack, or stroke were coded as yes for the CVD variable. The ever diagnosed with diabetes variable was binary with 2 levels at yes or no. And a critical value of 0.05 was used in the analysis, and the statistical software used was Stata version 15. So the final sample consisted of 22,572 participants. Table 1 contains demographic data describing the subsample and was categorized by body mass index. Of the total number of participants in the overall category, 32% stated they did not drink any SSB per week. 21% reported 0 to 1, 28% 1 to 7, and 19% at more than 7. So across the non category, none SSB drinks per week, it remained at about 30%, 30 to 33. So if you see 32% in normal, 32% in overweight, and 30% obese. Those who reported more than 7 did go up a little bit. It was 17% at normal BMI, 19% at overweight, and 21% at obese. In Table 2, we see the data for the association of BMI and sugar-sweetened beverage consumption, and it displays a crude and adjusted linear regression. So noteworthy, for those who drank more than 7 beverages per week, who reported drinking more than 7 per week, had a statistically significant positive association with an increase of 0.47 units BMI at 95% confidence interval, with a p-value of 0.02. Some other characteristics that were noted to be associated to have lower BMI and were statistically significant was the female gender, the not being Hispanic, and having a college degree. So in conclusion, we can say that the data suggests there's an association between the number of sugar-sweetened beverage consumption and BMI amongst the population in New York. The greater the SSB sugar-sweetened beverages are consumed, then the greater the association with the higher BMI. So some past New York interventions that have been implemented have been some policy interventions, mass educational campaigns, and regulatory policy changes. So an example of the policy intervention was when New York passed the nutritional standards that restricted the amount of calories to 25 calories per 8 ounces of beverages and excluded 100% fruit juice. For the mass educational campaign, New York would inform their residents how many miles they had to walk off in order to burn the calories that they were consuming from different portions of sugary beverages. And this was illustrated on a New York City map. So an example of the regulatory policy change was when the New York City Board of Health passed nutritional standards for child care centers and camps. They made it mandatory for water to be accessible at all times and for 100% juice servings to be in 6-ounce portions, and no drinks with added sweeteners were to be offered. Some unsuccessful attempts that New York tried, the first one was to restrict beverage sizes to 16 ounces. This was passed, but was later overturned in court. The second was the infamous pass of the infamous sugary drink tax, and unfortunately that was blocked by lobbyists. And lastly, they requested that the USDA remove sugar drinks from their SNAP approved list for a period of 2 years, just to see the effect, and USDA stated that that was too complex to do and therefore denied their request. So an example of a proposed research intervention would be a school-based education intervention that focuses on teaching healthy eating behaviors and encourages students making healthy food choices in everyday life. The target population would be middle school students ages 11 to 14 in select New York counties. The goal of the intervention would be for the students to be enrolled in an intervention group and a control group. The intervention group, at random, the intervention group would receive a series of education sessions over a period of 9 months, and those sessions would teach them how to eat healthy. In addition to that, they would receive educational materials for themselves and their parents, as well as receive emails and texts that would provide support to make healthy food choices. The control group would receive the educational material, but they would not receive the extra encouragement. So some objective measures would be for them to self-report their sugary food consumption and beverage consumption, as well as collect height and weight for BMI measurements. These would be done at the beginning, the middle, and the end. And some ongoing evaluation monitoring techniques would be for the state of New York Department of Health to continue to monitor those counties on their sugar-sweetened beverage consumption. This intervention would focus on a community level, interpersonal level, individual level, since it is tackling school, their social network, which would be their friends and families, and try to change the individual's knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And that concludes my presentation, so I will take any questions at this time. Thank you.